Kuro Games hates Calcharo, or at least that's how a bystander would see things. Kakarot is quite a unique character who was hailed as being the strongest back in the beta version of the game. When Wuthering Waves launched, he was among the most recommended characters to pull with your free standard character that was given at the beginning of the game. I was one to pick up Cat Carrot because of how fun his gameplay was. Man, I wish I knew that calculator would be replaced by a better machine, Xiangli Yao merely 2 months later. Calcharo is lacking any story presence, and he is the only 5-star character to not get a demo, besides Verena, but Verena is one of the best characters in the game. His entire kit is seemingly being upgraded by Xiangli Yao, and not only that, they are both characters who specialize in liberation damage and Dart Electro. It's almost blatantly obvious that Kuro Games intended to replace Carrot Cake. So, how did Cal Naruto go from being one of the most powerful characters in the game to the state that he is now? Well, I'm Void Enigma, and I'll be explaining how Colorado might be in fact Kuro Games' most hated character in the roster of Wuthering Waves. So, to start things off, there is a mechanic that once existed in the previous versions of the game, where the outro buff would last even when you swapped out characters, and because of this, Sephiroth can do insane quick swap techs with Yinlin, contributing to insane damage when used by a very skilled player. Because this was limited to very skilled players who could abuse these techs, this was nerfed on the release of Wuthering Waves so that swapping out characters midway will actually remove the outro buff. These techniques are still very powerful, but without the outro buff being used, it is just not really worth using it much anymore. However, it still has its merits. When you are playing Calcium and you want to get as much damage out of every bone of his body, then it's very essential that you get 3 Death Messengers off during his DPS window. But that window to do so is very tight. It's essentially only possible when the target is stationary, because if you miss a single second of uptime of his quick combo, then you're going to lose that 3rd Death Messenger. If you dodge counter, you risk losing that 3rd Death Messenger. If you get hit, you 100% lose that 3rd Death Messenger. And if the enemy flies away, you will without a doubt lose that 3rd Death Messenger. Now you may be thinking, hey, if I lose one of those Death Messengers, it isn't that bad, right? Well, think of it this way. Because this is tied to his liberation, you missing one of those hits is essentially you missing out on 1/3 of your total damage. That's how important these hits are. Now, there exist many characters who have flaws in their kits, and they are fixed by either other characters or Forte upgrades. So Calcium Deposit's inherent skill gives him something like rock hard interruption resistance. Well, his inherent skill makes him take 15% less damage when using Death Messenger. How impactful, right? That damage reduction may be very small, but an impactful thing that you can do is like this video. Considering you've made it this far, you must be enjoying it, right? Go ahead and consider subscribing as well to enjoy more Wuthering Waves content. Now, the greatest issue is not Ryothesley's short DPS window, nor is his inability to tank hits from bosses that he faces. It's the one uncontrollable thing that depends on the player: ping. Tartaglia requires some precise actions and rotations to play him optimally, and that can be a part of his unique gameplay. Not only is it quite unique, it is quite enjoyable for many people. His quick swap gameplay is without a doubt fun, as long as you aren't being hit around by the boss. But because of this, if you're playing with high ping, then playing him optimally is all but impossible. You have to do so many inputs and swap characters to actually play him well, that if you have high ping, this just delays everything, causing to massive frustration when using him. After the game's release and the Tower of Adversity, people were starting to see the frustrations with his kit. It requires so much min-maxing of rotations and button presses that one fuck up and you lose so much damage, when a character like Jian can do the same, but easier. Even if Jian gets sent flying during his Resonance Liberation, he only loses a small bit of his damage, since the brunt of his damage is at the beginning, and it's spread out evenly across his rotation. Despite all of his flaws, this is okay, because he is still fun, and for those thriving to play him, they still can. It's actually a fun experience to truly master a character, especially one that no one is really using. And those Capricano mains who love his shadowy presence will continue to play him to this day. Well, that would be true if it weren't for one single man to appear. Xiangli Yao, the bane of Monkey D. Luffy's existence. It's not as if you have a choice to even skip Xiangli Yao because you normally have to pull for a limited 5-star character, but Courier Games didn't offer you that choice. They are just going to give you a better Carbonara. You will have a better Calcharo and knowingly use the worst version if you enjoy Calamoro's gameplay. Xiangli Yao has a similar stacking mechanic to Carrot Kuro, and this is used with his resonance skill, so you're free to make your actions during his animation and not lose a ton of damage. His dodge counter is even counted as resonance liberation damage, and it actually helps to build up his gauge. In addition, his inherent skill, well, it gives interruption resistance during the most important part of his kit, resonance liberation. And because he's both Resonance Liberation and an Electro character, using Yin Lin as his best partner is going to be the best option. Damn. Xiangli Yao even stole Cal Jojo's girl. Brutal. It's so blatantly obvious that they are just replacing Cafka by giving him an upgraded robotic version. Charcoal didn't even get a chance to debut in the story quest, and not only that, no one seems to be able to say his name right. If we take it how the English voice actor says it, then it's Calcharo. But personally, I think calamari is easier to remember since it tastes so good, and the fact that this blatant power creep leaves a bad taste in my mouth, but I can't really complain about Calamoro's replacement considering that Xiangli Yao was free. Had he been a purely limited character, then I would have been a bit less inclined to pull for him, considering I have Calcharo at home. But because he's free, well, it's best to just use Courier Games 2.0. It looks like it's Calover for Calcharo. Either way, this is a gacha game, and that's where things get better. Despite Mario being a worse Xiangli Yao, we can still have fun with him because they are dedicated Luigi mains out there. Does it frustrate you that Caligojo got power crept so easily? Let me know how you feel about the whole situation in the comments. Either way, a free character is a free character, so that's definitely something to be happy about. I just hope that Kasukuna will get the chance to debut in the story and have an actual presence instead of being delegated as a side character, or maybe even get a buff in the future. Only time will tell. All I know is that at the end of the day, Cal Yuji is cool as shit, and he will forever be one of the best designed characters in Wuthering Waves. So does Courier Game hate Calcharo? Probably not. Considering they gave him such a badass design, I think he's just a mistake that they actually needed to correct in the future, but I guess for a standard character, he's alright at the end of the day. We've come a long way as a community and I appreciate all of the support, but only about 4% of you all are subscribed. Go ahead and subscribe to help support the channel and I'll do my best to provide amazing content for you all. Until next time, Enigma out.